A blonde gets a job at a gas station. It is her first day, and her first customer drives to the pump in a red convertible. Super excited, she approaches the customer and says, "Hey, mister, would you like some gas?" The customer says, "Yes, that's why I am here." She immediately gets to work, filling the customer's tank. While the tank is filling up, she approaches the customer again and says, "Hey, mister, would you like me to clean your windshield?" The customer says, "Sure, why not?" So she cleans his windshield, making sure to get every part of the windshield. And she does an incredible job. Once she completes cleaning his windshield, she approaches him again and says, "Hey, mister, would you like me to check your blinkers to see if they work?" The customer says, "Sure, why not?" So she gets on all fours in front of the car and screams to the customer, "Okay, you can turn them on. I am ready." The customer turns on his left turn signal because her face is right in front of that turn signal. The customer then hears her scream at the top of her lungs, "Yes! No! Yes! No! No! Yes! No!" Oh. Two nuns who worked in a hospital were out driving in the country when they ran out of gas. As they were standing beside their car on the shoulder of the road, a truck approached them. Noticing the nuns in distress, the trucker stopped and offered to help. When the nuns explained they had run out of gas, the trucker said he would be more than happy to drain some from his tank, but he didn't have a bucket or a can. Hearing this, one of the nuns dug out a clean bedpan from the trunk and asked the trucker if it would do. He said it would and proceeded to drain a couple of quarts into the pan. He then handed the pan to the sisters, got back into his truck, and waved goodbye. While the nuns were carefully pouring the precious fuel into their gas tank, a cop happened by. He stopped and watched them for a few moments, then said, "Sisters, somehow I don't think that's going to work, but I sure do admire your faith." A knight rides on a road. Suddenly, a frog comes to him. "I am under a spell," the frog says. "Kiss me, and I'll become a beautiful princess and will be your wife and love you forever." The knight kisses the frog, and bamf! It indeed turns into a princess. And the princess is so beautiful, he embraces her, takes her clothes off, makes love to her. Once he finishes, he dresses up and turns away to continue on his journey. "Excuse me, knight?" the princess says. "Why are you leaving? Is that knightly behavior? What about marrying me? What about living happily ever after?" The knight looks at her angrily and flicks her forehead. Bamf! And she is a frog again. He looks at the frog, picks it up, and kisses it again. Bamf is a princess, a flick on the head. Bamf, a frog! A kiss princess, a flick frog. He thinks, picks up the frog, and pockets it. He says, "Convenient." Two southern belles are walking down a country road. They are out enjoying a sunset walk and admiring the scenery when they come across a man taking photographs. The man, being awestruck at the beauty of the two ladies, asks if he can take their picture with the setting sun in the background. The ladies discuss the idea and eventually agree. The photographer begins setting up his tripod and adjusting his camera. One of the ladies asks, "What is he doing?" The other replies in a thick southern drawl, "He's going to focus." Then the first says, "Both of us?" A blonde woman was speeding down the road and was pulled over by a female police officer, who was also a blonde. The blonde cop asked to see the blonde driver's license. She dug through her purse and was getting progressively more agitated. "What does it look like?" she finally asked. The policewoman replied, "It's square, and it has your picture on it." The driver finally found a square mirror in her purse, looked at it, and handed it to the policewoman. "Here it is," she said. The blonde officer looked at the mirror, then handed it back, saying, "Okay, you can go. I didn't realize you were a cop." John's car broke down in the middle of a quiet road at night. He decided to hitchhike. After waiting for a while, a car stopped next to him. He jumped aboard. The speed of the car was slow and steady. Suddenly, John noticed to his shock that the driver's seat was empty. No one was driving the car. John was not frightened by the speed of the car, but by the fact that it had no driver. When the moment came, he jumped out of the car and ran for his life. After a few kilometers, John arrived at the gas station. He went inside and bought himself a drink. Two men arrived at the gas station. One of them pointed at John and said, "Look, Jack, that's the idiot who jumped into our car while we were pushing it." A man was driving along the road when suddenly a Ferrari whizzed past him, and the driver inside yelled, "Ever driven a Ferrari, mate?" This angered the man, and he accelerated to catch up to the Ferrari and give the driver a piece of his mind. However, as he was about to reach the Ferrari, it accelerated, and the man just managed to catch the driver yell, "Ever driven a Ferrari, mate?" before the Ferrari left him in the dust. Recognizing that he was not able to match the Ferrari's speed, the man calmed down and resumed driving at normal speed. A few miles ahead, however, the man noticed the Ferrari upturned in a ditch. Curious at what might have happened, a man stopped his car and went to check out the crash scene. Inside the upturned Ferrari, a weak and shaky voice came out. "Ever driven a Ferrari, mate? Know where the brake is?" A little boy was walking on the road eating chocolate. A man came over and said, "Son, eating chocolates is bad for your health." The boy replied, "Yeah, do you know my grandpa lived to be 105 years old?" "By eating chocolates?" the man asked. "No, by minding his own business," he replied. A man is driving down a country road when he loses control of his car and ends up in a ditch. He gets out of the car and knocks on a farmhouse door for help. He explains his situation to the farmer. The farmer gets his horse and they walk to the crash scene. The farmer then uses rope to tie the horse to the car. "Pull! Zoomer, pull!" the farmer shouts, but the horse doesn't move. "Pull! Radar, pull!" the farmer yells again, but again the horse stands still. "Pull, Dasher, pull!" yells the farmer, but the horse stands like a rock. "Pull, Dusty, pull!" shouts the farmer, and the horse finally gets the car out with minimal effort. The driver is dumbfounded, so he asks the farmer, "Why do you call your horses different names?" "You see," the farmer replies, "Dusty is blind. If he knew he was working by himself, he wouldn't have pulled." An elderly man and his wife are in the doctor's office. The doctor says to the man, "I'm going to need a urine sample, a blood sample, and a stool sample." The man turns to his wife. "What did he say? He needs what?" The wife yells, "Just give him your underpants." Not too long ago, there was a woman who wanted to know how her husband would react if she left without telling him where she had gone. She decided to write him a letter saying she was tired of him and didn't want to live with him anymore. After writing the letter, she put it on the table in the bedroom and then climbed under the bed to hide until her husband got home. When he eventually came back home, he saw the letter on the table and read it. After a few moments of silence, he picked up the pen and added something to the letter. Then he started to get changed, whistling happy tunes and singing and dancing while he did so. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number. His wife listened from under the bed as he started chatting with someone. "Hey, babe, I'm just changing clothes, then I will join you," he said. As for the other fool, it finally dawned on her that I was fooling around on her and left. I was really wrong to have married her. I wish you and I had met earlier. See you soon, honey. Then he hung up and walked out of the room. In tears and very upset, she climbed out from under the bed and stumbled over to read what her unfaithful husband had written on the end of her letter. Through teary and bleary eyes, she read, "I could see your feet, you idiot. I am going out to buy some bread."